We begin this interaction this evening of your time with a reiteration and clarification of some of the ideas we have conveyed to you last evening of your time. We discussed and delineated with you last evening of your time the idea of, while you may have your head in the clouds, keeping your feet firmly planted upon the ground, the idea behind this reasoning that we had presented to you was that you are physical beings functioning in a physical way. You have chosen, although some of you have created the idea of forgetting that you have done so, but you have chosen the idea of being physical at this time. The ultimate manifestation of the idea into physicality will be translated as that idea of action. We also delineated the steps toward igniting your physical reality as being clear intention, clear definition, desire and desirability, and clear action. We shall, at this timing, draw a distinction between the idea of clear intention and the idea of clear definition. Clear intention can be defined as what it is that you desire to do. Clear intention can be realized in an individual way by each individual, by the idea of excitement. In other words, what we are saying is that what excites you the most, being the physical translation of the vibration of that which is most you, that which does excite you the most, can be your intention. So you will define your intention clearly by relying on your faculty of excitement, your individualized, personalized faculty of excitement. That again allows you to know what your purpose is on a moment-to-moment basis. Purpose just meaning that action which is most reflective of that which you have become physical to experience. The idea of clear definition, in contrast, is more the idea of how you plan to go about carrying out your intention. There have been many trains of thought in your society using the principles of visualization, the idea of picturing in your mind what it is that you wish to achieve, and repetitively holding it there in order to define clearly the direction you will be moving toward. We suggest that, although this is a very powerful tool, that when you do partake in such visualizations, that you are very unspecific, very vague in laying down the parameters of how you will allow the manifestation to come about by placing in these visualizations too many rigid, specific parameters to how you will allow that reality to manifest. You are not always privy, as your higher self is, to the information in an all-encompassing fashion, allowing you to see which will be the path of least resistance for that manifestation to take, understanding that it will always take that path of least resistance, and being again a focused being, and not necessarily at all moments allowing yourself to be privy to the wholeness of your being. You may lay down parameters which, in order to satisfy, and they can be satisfied in that manner, you may be placing an inordinately long period of time as you create time for the manifestation to come about. So our suggestion to you will be to use the idea of visualization in more of a vague manner than maybe you have. This will allow the path of least resistance of manifestation to be achieved, and you will notice that the path of least resistance takes, in your terms, the least time. Now, once you have defined and determined what this intention shall be, what this definition of vaguely, how or what steps are immediately within your grasp to take, you already have the desire. We have already explained to you our ideas, our perspectives on deservability. And although many of you are still wrestling with this idea, you do mainly have it down, shall we say. We are now left with the following and final stage of clear action. Many times, individuals in your society who begin to enter into what you call spirituality and begin to understand that manifesting physical reality does begin on a mental or spiritual level, a causal level. Often, they then formulate their desires, formulate their intentions, and the only action that they do take is the action of sitting around and waiting for the manifestation to happen. We suggest being more, not meaning this in a conflictive sense, but aggressive with the idea of action, formulating again that action which is most available to you at this time with this set of parameters. But what you shall notice, by following your excitement, by taking action behind the excitement that you have, that many other opportunities that are seemingly unrelated to that which you immediately have access to will start popping up. We have always said that we can only deliver this information to you, that we cannot prove it to you, but however, you can prove it to yourself. And we are, shall we say, using your vernacular, handing you the keys to do so. This particular group has a lot of momentum behind it. It is not necessarily that the clear intention of the group need be one particular thing or another particular thing. There may be many clear intentions, as many as there are individuals in the group, and sometimes individuals may have more than one. But we suggest that at this time you open up a more specific dialogue to start to discuss and bring to light and to forefront what these intentions are, and similarly moving on to the next step of the definitions of what is now available to you to start taking these courses of action. The momentum of which we have spoken behind this group, which is great, will translate very quickly, according to your time, into manifestations. There have been many phases of the group forming a cohesiveness. We have spoken to you last evening of your time about an initiation. We did not mean at that time that the initiation was to only include the idea of that particular evening. The initiation is an ongoing process which in some sense had began on a particular level that evening, but is now also continuing. What will accelerate this idea is the action step of the formula we have laid out for you. We have and had made an agreement between our civilization and the physiological channel. This agreement in part was misunderstood by the physiological channel. Our part of the bargain, sort of say, was that we would be present in your weekend, present in a physical sense, as well as allowing our energy to be tapped into. Although you all directly experience that energy being tapped into through what you have labeled the channeling, through what you have labeled communication with Anima and Bashar, which are simply labels to describe us and not actually our names, but we are individual physiological beings. There also was a physical visitation from us. However, we have proceeded in a different manner than we have in your past. We exist on what you may label a more etheric, a more dreamlike level than your aspect of physicality. In order for you to physically sight our spacecraft, a certain process which we may label, but it is not really an accurate representation of the process, only that there is not the language available to us through the channel at this time to describe it, but we will call it and make use of what we have, densification. In order for us to interact with you on a blatant level, we must undergo a process of densifying ourselves, densifying our vessels. This densification may achieve many levels in order for your typical representation of third density, humaniform being, to perceive us. We must densify ourselves to a great degree. As one transforms from the idea of third vibrational state of reality to fourth vibrational state of reality or fourth density, the physical vibration of the being does rise. We have spoken the past of when we did have with you blatant physical interaction, that it would be of a nature where we have met each other halfway. Our level of densification within our visitation of you was, shall we say, for a reference point, lower down than halfway, but not quite to the point that you would physically be able to perceive us unless a great deal of your, underline this word, action has accelerated your vibration to the point that will meet us. What I am saying is simply this. You cannot perceive, you cannot experience a reality that you are not the vibration of. We were here, we densified to a level to which you could meet and match us. But as you say, the bottom line was you did not. This is not to say in any way, shape, or form that we are denigrating or criticizing you. We have simply, to use your colloquial language, raised our standards a bit. We have done this not to tease you. We have done this not to dangle the carrot out in front of you, as you say. We have done this as, and we do not mean this in a competitive way, a challenge to you to meet our vibration a little less than halfway. Therefore, we shall tie this all together. We have suggested to you the formula, the idea of ignition of your physical reality by allowing yourself to get to the action stage in each and every endeavor. You will inevitably raise your physical vibration, not only in an overall sense, but in an experiential sense also. The ecstatic explosion of coincidence that we have described to you hinges on your taking action on what excites you the most. The action step is the step that begins the process. Once that ecstatic explosion of coincidence begins, we'll put it this way, there's no stopping it. Therefore, there is no reason for hesitation. We understand that your no pain, no gain philosophy has, in this regard, held you back. We understand that you must struggle and strive and work very hard, otherwise you're lazy. Is another of your perceptions that holds you back. But realize, as we have said, changing a belief is as easy as A, figuring out what the belief is that you do already have, and B, wording the opposite belief, making it as a statement, and then, and here's the key, progressing in action as though you already believe that. It is your actions which are ultimately, physically, a measure of your beliefs, not the nice philosophies you can impart to other individuals. By, as we have called it, walking your talk, it becomes obvious to other individuals that what you are saying has merit on that level, and there is no convincing to be done. Therefore, acting on what excites you the most serves many purposes, only one of which is to initiate this ecstatic explosion of coincidence. And our understanding of you is that this would be greatly desirous for you at this time. There will be other opportunities for you to perceive our spacecraft. There will be opportunities for you to pipe into our stream of consciousness on an individual level. This can only be achieved by each and every one of you to the degree that you allow such an interaction, to the degree that you trust such an interaction, and to the degree that you validate such an interaction and do not invalidate it. As the physiological channel does allow himself to flow this information to you, to trust this information, to utilize the suggestions that we are constantly giving him, the delivery of the material which we are conveying to you this evening of your time, and the material that shall come, shall be, shall we say, a bit swifter, a bit more fluid. There is a great difference in the allowance on the part of the channel this evening of your time than last evening of your time, and this is partially due to some of the suggestions we have made having been followed. Each and every one of you having total access to our stream of consciousness may from time to time experience the idea in your thoughts of suggestions. If you can accept that these suggestions are from us, it is not to say that you will not manifest and progress just as well without them, but we do offer them to you as tried and true ways in which you may accelerate toward creating and manifesting the life which you do prefer. In return for your willingness to co-create this interaction with us, in the return for your willingness to act as ambassadors for your civilization, and allowing me to act as ambassador for our respective civilization, I ask you now, how may I be of service to you?